Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Modern Open in Dallas, brought to you by Ultimate Guard. I'm Nick Miller alongside Peter Ingram. How you doing, sir?
How's it going?
You are on a tear in the Modern format.
The Modern format's been very kind to me. Me and Nahiri have a very special bond.
You won the Open with, of course, Jeskai control.
Yes.
Then you top forward the Classic last week. You're off to a 6-0 start so far here in Dallas.
I am.
You're playing the Jeskai deck again. And we didn't get to deck tech you, when you won the Open, but now you're here, we get to talk about the deck, things you've changed, where this deck is going.
Sure. Okay, so when I had first started out with the deck, I had 2 Cryptic Command, 2 Electrolyze, and 2 Lightning Helixes. Actually, it might have been 3. I don't want to quote myself, but we've since moved away with that. Cryptic Command is definitely very good. I could definitely see playing like one in the flex slots of the deck, which are the Anger of the Gods, Timely Reinforcements, Lightning Helixes, and the 3 Ancestral Visions. I think those are like the flex slots of the deck. I'm also playing 3 Spell Snare, which some people play too. I just cut the Cryptic Commands and played more cheaper spells, so we can snap them back easier. And Cryptic Command's good, but I don't think it's ultimately necessary.
Right. And, you had a version that you won the Open with, and then Jerry kind of brought his version to the mocks, and you've kind of done a mashing of the 2 decks together.
I saw his list. I liked what he was doing, especially in GP Charlotte. So I kind of just mashed them together. I took his Ancestral Visions, put them in my main deck, because I think they're even against the matchups where you don't really want it, the Infect, Burn, Affinity, if you do turn 1 it, and you survive to that point, it's very likely going to win you the game. Yes, you might sideboard out the card or trim down on it, but I just think that it's overall probably, and it's also just very good in this deck, when you have Timely Reinforcements, Anger of the Gods buying you time, cheap removal. So I really liked what Jerry was doing. There were some things that I still liked, like Celestial Colonnade, for example. I'm huge on that card. I know he only plays 2. I played 3, it's not that huge of a difference, but Celestial Colonnade, I feel like, is so important, such a key cornerstone to the deck. Yeah,
when you combine it with all your burn and the Snapcaster Mage burn package, it seems like you just get to close these games out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have the whole Nahiri package happening.
Sure.
All right, so you said your flex slots are the Visions, the Lightning Helix, Anger, and the Timely, but the core of the deck has stayed pretty much the same. You've got your remands, you got your mana leaks, your spell snares, Snapcaster Mage, a bunch of good removal. That's all stayed the same.
Cheapest removal in the format, best bang for your buck, cheapest counter spells again. And you're just looking to tempt your opponent out, eventually stick in a Nahiri and plus it twice, and bam, that's it.
Right. Yeah, that is what is so important about this deck. Is Nahiri you play it, they have 2 turns to do something about it. If they do not, you get to play Emrakul.
And oftentimes, them doing something about it is lightning bolting it, which is just delaying the inevitable, and I'm fine with that. So long as the Nahiri is on the table, we're cool.
Yeah, I've walked past multiple matches where people are trying to just, electrolyze or lightning bolt Nahiri just to prevent a turn or 2.
The inevitable.
And it just, if they don't find a way to kill it immediately, they just can't win after that.
Yeah, Nahiri is just great. It's actually just amazing. I love the card so much. It really gave this deck a way to, because there are other versions of the blue, white, red decks, the Restoration Angel, Kiki-Jiki, Geist versions, I'm sure are fine and actually are good against this deck, but I really just, Nahiri is just so powerful, and there really aren't many good ways to answer it in Modern.
Yep. You have to play awkward things, like Dreadbore, I've seen come in to try to deal with it.
Celestial Purges, stuff like that.
Okay, you also got Vendilion Click running around in here, just a very powerful card.
Yeah, Vendilion Click's it won me a game today where I had to Vendilion Click my opponent's Emrakul when he cast Through the Breach. Vendilion Click's just such a unique card in so many combo matchups. I kind of want a second one on the sideboard, but then there's Geist. It's just, the list is so tight, but Vendilion Click's really, really good. I also would never not play that card.
Now, I imagine you didn't play many mirror matches in the Open you won with this deck, but the deck is kind of raised in popularity. How do the mirror matches work out in this?
Surprisingly enough, I actually haven't played many mirror matches. It's really just about, it's just basically don't tab out first, just don't, just if you can try not to, do not do it, because I can promise you it's not going to end well for you. They're going to counter your Nahiri, they're going to resolve theirs, and it's just going to be task free. So it's pretty much a sweet spot of balancing the tempo of the game, and Ancestral Vision is a very key part of that.
Sure.
If you can land the turn one Ancestral Vision, you're like so far ahead.
Classic control of just wanting to make land drops, waiting until the end.
Yeah.
All right. So the sideboard has changed a significant amount as well.
The sideboard has changed.
You got a bunch of cards running around here. Talk about Spreading Seas and then Geist the Saint Trap. These cards pop out to me as not cards you're really using at the opening one.
Okay, yeah. So Geist is something that Jerry kind of turned me on to. It's a really cheap threat that allows you to close out the mirror matches, the combo matches, where you kind of just want to land the threat early, back it up with some counter magic, and end the game, like Tron or Valakut or something like that. And going along with that, even though I had a pretty good record against those decks at the Open that I won, I really was thinking about Spreading Seas the entire time. After the tournament, I was like, wow, this card's really good. And I didn't pull the trigger on it in GP Charlotte when I played, but I actually pulled the trigger on it last weekend. And I top 4'd the Classic, and I boarded in Spreading Seas only against the Jund and the Absent decks that I played against, but it was very good there, and I was just really overall impressed with the card by like a wide margin. It's just such a unique effect, and it really lets because the deck sometimes has problem dealing with lands like Raging Ravine or Inkmoth Nexus or against Valakut, where you need to slow them down a bit.
Yeah, there's a ton of decks in Modern that rely on their specialty lands.
Sure, yeah.
And this card shuts them all down. Celestial Purge, I guess that's kind of a concession to more Nahiris in the format as well.
Concession to more Nahiris, concession to Liliana of the Veil. It's a card that I definitely love having on a sideboard. I'm not entirely sure if you ever want more than one, because with Snapcaster you kind of get a rebuy on all those effects, which is very nice.
Then negates and dispels more counter magic. We've seen that. Crumble to Dust, great against Tron. Are you using that against more than just Tron?
I'm using it usually just against Tron. Sometimes against Valakut, I also bring it in to try and hit their Valakut if they have to play it. Regarding the negates and the dispel, it actually was as a Staticaster this morning, but I switched it over to negate at the last second. I was very happy with my changes. I played Red-Green Valakut in round 3, but Staticaster is certainly a card that I was considering in my sideboard as well.
Yeah. Other things, Stony Silence, we've seen this out of any deck that has white, basically.
Yeah, it's just
another
like
timely reinforcement and a wear tear. Just your kind of catch-alls and life gain.
Yeah, I mean, Stony Silence is so good against obviously Affinity, but then there are games against Tron where you play it and they just they can't. I played a game against Tron where I played it and they just played 4 mana stars or whatever you call them, and they just did nothing. And it's just a really good catch-all to have. And same with the wear and tear. Like I would never not sideboard one.
Well, you're doing great with the deck. What would it take to get you off of this deck at this point? Or is this kind of where you just want to be in Modern?
It's kind of just where I want to be in Modern, honestly. There's no matchups where I'm really afraid. I think that the Tron and the Valakut Scape Shift decks with Primeval Titan are probably the worst matchup, but I have game against them. The deck has a lot of play to it, and I never feel like I'm really just getting crushed. I just think the deck's great, and people should play it.
Deck's great. You heard it right here. Pete, thanks for joining me on the sideboard. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Dallas.